Did you think I'd stopped updating? No, I've just been busy, and there wasn't really much to report. I mean, I could do a lot of commentaries on the state of the world, like, for example, the strike ordered by Trump on Syria last night. I could do that, but often I am conflicted in emotions about it, or I don't know enough, so I don't feel like I am qualified to make a good commentary beyond this sucks. As of last night, I have something interesting to report as far as experience is in the going to work world, the MKultra, the thing. Now, I'm not saying that I went to work last night so much as it's almost like I did. And then I wake up to find out that Trump had ordered an airstrike on Syria. I think it was an airstrike. It wasn't. Was it? He had ordered a strike. Strike, they're out. So the first thing is, I've been doing a lot of facial work and experimentation with beauty because that's actually, I know it sounds silly, but it's a perk to getting older. Is where they show all these young women doing these beauty things that keeps them looking young, and it's like, but they're young, they're gonna look young. When you get older, even though it kind of sucks that you're getting wrinkly, it also opens up the way to become a mad scientist. Anyway, which and what I noticed was right here. Just one day out of the blue, I noticed I had a really teeny weeny, perfectly round circle indentation, kind of like a scoop. Now, by a scoop, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is some alien abductees will have these circular indentations out of their flesh. It's like they took whoever took them, took an ice cream scoop and scooped muscle material out of their flesh and then healed the skin over without even bothering to heal the muscle. Which I find really offensive. If they need that muscle, why can't, with all of their cloning technology, just take muscle and grow it in a lab? It would taste the same. But anyway, so I noticed this, and so I went online to find out, are there scoops that tiny? And yes, it turns out there is. So currently, I'm in the stage where I'm trying to find old, clear photographs of myself to see if it was already always there, and I just didn't notice. I have found a couple and it wasn't in those photographs, but you have to do this scientifically and prove yourself wrong. So I have to keep looking, and so far I haven't found any, but we'll see how that goes. But it's rather disappointing, if you're going to scoop my flesh, must you choose my face? The thing that I have been working so hard on and experimenting with, and you just completely undermine the experiment, you scientific plant bastards. But what's got me spurred finally to talk about that and then move into this is last night. Now, I'm really tired and groggy, as happens after going to work. But this is the scenario, and as always, I will leave it up to you to decide what you think. So I'm going to hand this to you. So, in the quote-unquote dream. Now, keep in mind, when I actually physically go to work, sometimes I will have a dream about it 3 days later. So last night in the dream, me and my husband went on vacation, which we never do. And we went on vacation to a place that I mentally associate as outside of Ellis Island. And it's a place that I go to frequently and have went to frequently in my whole life. And it's this like a walled off town. That's the way I see it. A walled off town. Of course, since becoming a military wife and everything, now I know that military bases are walled off towns. But growing up, it was just a walled off town, and you had to get permission to go through the gate. There was one time I actually tried to go through the gate and wasn't allowed to. But so it's a walled off town, and it's right on the edge of the coast outside of Ellis Island. Not necessarily New York, not necessarily New Jersey. It's like right on this tip, this peninsula-like tip. And if you're not careful, because there's this beach area that I will end up hanging out with when I go there, and you can just keep driving and just go right over the water, because there's this one area where they didn't finish the road. So if you keep going, you're going to actually splash into the water. There are a lot of curvy overpasses and stuff, and it stresses me out to drive there. They bother me. I don't like being in a vehicle there at all. It upsets me because it's always too fast or something. And so me and the husband went on vacation to this place, and we were going to stay in a hotel. hmm And in my head, I knew it was Saturday night, which would be tonight. Last night was Friday. But in my head, I knew it was Saturday night. And I can't remember everything that happened. But the husband had told me he was going to go do something, and I associated it with like gaming. like going to a convention gaming that he had told me he was gonna do. And then someone had left the paperwork on a cl on one of those pressed wood wooden clipboards on the table in the little it was like, one of those little, hotel rooms that's got, like, the kitchen area, and that was where we were staying, and, they had left it on the little itty bitty round table there, and I picked it up, of course, and read it, and I knew immediately it was one of the forms you fill out when you do a jump from an airplane in the Army, and I remember the number 64 on amount of men. But it didn't say amount of men. I just knew that I knew that this square was where you filled out how many men were jumping, and it was a very beautifully well handwritten in dark pencil 64. The handwriting was that careful handwriting that some people do when they print. Very lovely. It wasn't my handwriting. It wasn't my husband's handwriting. And so my husband comes into the room, and I confront him. I'm like, you're going to go jump out of a plane tonight?" And now my husband has a lot of mannerisms that when, things don't go to plan, it's going to throw me out because things aren't how they're supposed to be. So my husband said very nastily, completely out of character, something along the lines of, "Bitch, if I want to jump out of an airplane, I will if I want to." That's not my husband. So that hurt my feelings and that got me angry. And he left. He's going to go jump out of the airplane. Fuck me. And I'm angry and pissy and upset, and there were, like, people there, but they were just kinda, like, in various spots of the room kind of observing me, which, by the way, this is why I don't like it when people stare at me like a bug in a box. Well, that's very upsetting because 'cause you're not human getting treated that way. So they're just sitting there, and I'm boohooing, and no one cares, and I'm upset, and no one cares, and the more no one cared, the more angry I got that no one cared. And what got me angrier and angrier wasn't that he was gonna jump out of an airplane, mind you. I'm used to this fact. He has jumped out of many airplanes. That's why he was medically retired from the Army. He jumped out of one too many. And, it was that he had lied to me and manipulated me, and he was gonna go do it. And that breach of trust, treating me like I'm a mushroom, treating me like, my feelings in this partnership don't matter. Any number of just, "This is wrong" things. And so I got angrier and angrier, and finally, I decided I was gonna divorce him. I'd had enough. I wasn't gonna live that way. I'm just not gonna live with a partner that treats me that way, right? So I'm getting ready to go, and that's the thing I do. I'll just go off and do what I want, and to hell with the scenario. So I'm getting ready to go. And I remember I was wearing the color pink. I was wearing a pink shirt, which isn't like me. But it wasn't even my shirt, and I knew it wasn't. It was floofy and frilly, and it wasn't my shirt. And but so I knew that about 30 minutes had passed by, and I was fixing to go out the door. And in fact, I had already stepped out of the room once and looked around, and it was like this room underneath one of those overpasses I don't like. I remember that. So then in steps my husband. It's only been 30 minutes. Now, the first thing first thing I'm hit with the mental information. It's only been about 30 minutes. That's not even enough time to get to the plane, much less to get it off the ground, much less to jump out of the plane. Uh, and he wasn't the same person, and I could tell. And sometimes, there's some people that for some odd reason I'm not allowed to look at their faces and to know who they are, and that means that my eyes are gonna automatically gravitate to, like, the abdomen below, and so I remember how thin he was. He was a very thin person with long legs, and he was wearing these, stonewashed blue jeans that were pale blue, and I remember how dusty they were. Like, they were filthy. It was like this guy had just been pulled in all of a sudden out of doing something else, and he just came in. He's gonna be my husband. My friend said, "Hello, I am paid to be your husband today. I'm going to stand in for your husband." Uh, and he's trying to talk to me, but by that point in time, I had gone too far. I had it. I was done. I was leaving him. It was over. And I don't remember much after that. Now, what makes me think that this might have been a real scenario? The number 64. You see, I don't read military material. And when I was young, my quote unquote guides, whatever they were, instructed me to not do certain types of research, because if I do that, then everything that I figure out on my own would be completely invalidated. The number 64, according to my husband, who used to do these things, is the amount of men you use when you are going to jump out of a C-130. Did not know that. I've never been around anything to give me that knowledge subconsciously. Never have read anything, don't really watch military movies. This isn't a fact that's discussed in the grocery store by people standing around. Yeah, okay. The number 64. Now, I could have been picking up on somebody that was handling something last night, because last night the thing with Syria was going on, and I haven't looked up the details on that yet because I'm still getting my information straight, and then I'll look it up so that I don't accidentally color my information. The other thing, though, that makes me pause, besides the fact that I am just like really tired, as if which you do, because they give you that drug, the scopolamine cocktail thing, to which keep you under and everything, is the fact that the husband had a sticker, you know how like they'll stick stickers on you to like do EKGs or any various things, drug patches. I think drug patches personally, but drug patches, whatever. Well, the goo was still on his arm, yeah, on his elbow, which I'll be looking up why the elbow after this. The circumstantial evidence thing, may or may not have been real. I'll leave that to you, but hypothetically, if it were real, I am known to wander off in the middle of the scenario, especially if you piss me off or do something wrong. I am not easy to control, and this is why uh, I have more than one handler at a time, and I tend to be in scenarios with very few people. I have had up to 4 handlers, and that's how many were in that room. There was at least 3 or 4 people observing me. Where it went wrong was when the guy playing my husband did not play him well. It's like every time they choose someone who does not do things correctly, it upsets me. You see, how well he treats me, especially since it's compared to a string of creeps, is important to me, and I actually dote on it. And I have faced familial flack about it. Um, from people who were so used to me being abused that they actually got offended that I had found someone that did not abuse me. Okay. Uh, so when someone doesn't act right, it's going to throw me out. It's going to upset me. It pisses me off because I'm not going to put up with being that way. So I happen to know that if that was it was might even be that little jerk from years ago. If that was what happened, he probably got taken aside and explained, "Do not do her that way. You throw her out of the scenario, you ruin the experiment or whatever we're doing. She thinks she's queen of the universe. Treat her as such because you're ruining everything. You fuck." So when my husband came back and it was a different person, that was damage control, and it was probably somebody that knew me or they felt would handle it better, but by then it was too late. Little word of advice to the people that watch this, and I know you're out there to see what my thoughts after the fact are, if these things are real. Uh, the way to damage control would have been when I was boohooing. The person that I was wanted to talk it out really badly, and she knew that there was a woman with dark hair and a white coat sitting on the couch watching her like a bug in the box. That woman, who probably was not allowed to interact, needed to get up and talk to me and ask me, "Hey, why are you upset?" Because the more the time went on, the more upset I got, that because when the husband tried to talk to me, the new husband, he had assumed I was upset that he jumped out of an airplane. That is not what I was upset about. I was upset over the lie. And it even took me a few seconds to realize that's why I was upset. Because when it comes to the thought of him jumping out of an airplane, I actually am not too worried about that because I know he knows what he's doing. I would feel better about him jumping out of an airplane than I would some other things he likes to do for fun, because jumping out of an airplane, he's pretty much going to do everything he's supposed to do to make sure he doesn't get hurt and he knows what he's doing. The other things for fun, he gets caught up in what he's doing and he does all this stuff he's not supposed to do that could hurt his knees and put him in a wheelchair. So as you can see, I would be more comfortable with him jumping out of an airplane than I would be for him having certain types of fun that he does. So there is this. And I feel bad because I'm scared of heights. I would want to go. But I'm scared, so I'm not gonna go. No, there's a story behind that as well. But so this guy's completely assuming why I was upset, which was the wrong move. That woman needed to come up and ask me, why are you upset? Now, I was telling my friend about this, and she's like, and I was telling her, I was like, I tend to run off. There's one time I left the scenario just because I do, and I walked into like 5 other scenarios that were happening in the same area. They couldn't find me, and I knew it, so I was hiding. um, and she suggested, because I'm very fond of saying that if you have written a video game or whatever, let me test it because I have this knack for finding what's wrong. And I don't know why. I'm playing around and I will find what's wrong. I will find something in error. So she suggested that maybe that's why they put up with me, because you got to admit, 4 handlers for one person, that's a lot of damage control. That's like, I should have been dumped if you think about it. There has to be a reason why I'm still useful, and she suggested that it's probably so that I can test the scenarios for when they test someone else. Makes sense to me, you know, but I still like to think I'm queen of the universe. So that's what happened last night. Possibly a dream with physical patch on the elbow evidence and the number 64. Now that I have recorded this, I will start looking up key things and little data things of this thing, because I had totally forgotten about the peninsula base. It's been a while since I've been there. It's been a while since I've done anything that I'm aware of. And we'll start checking what information I've gleaned and see if I can get any convenient facts that may or may not coincide. And now that, I mean, because now that I've shared it, I can move on now and I can do research because I have the information out. So hope you enjoyed my long ass tale. So let me give you a blue kiss. I'm gonna go one way.